Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry. Well, I want to tell you a story. Back in the 90s, I had left academia and decided to do stand up and lectures. And I was doing lectures in the day and I'd do comedy in the night. And the purpose was to use humor to make people think a little bit more. I wanted them to think about the racial divisiveness in our society and the systemic racism, but I used humor to do it. And then in the day, I'd work at universities and do lectures. Um, I was traveling all over the country. The first year I drove, I actually got my license the day before I had to go drive all over the place. And I think it was that same first week, Teresa Roberts, if you're watching this, that I drove out to Colorado Springs from Ohio. And together we drove up Pikes Peak, and it was the most harrowing thing ever. The second year I had a car, I put 250,000 miles on a brand new car. So I was traveling everywhere. And it's shocking to me now when I think about how brave and courageous and bold that I had put the fears of the past behind me and just would go out. And I'd get to places that you'd expect to be scary, and they were not. And the places you'd expect to be welcoming were scary. So you couldn't make any decisions about what you would see ahead of time. But this one situation stands out for many, many reasons, and I hope that you hear it and see it and allow it to kind of inform you now. I was in this town, and this little hotel was the only thing that they had in the town, and it was, you could drive up and you're like, oh, this is not. Mm-mm. And I remember my bed slumped in the middle. It had a dent in the middle, just kind of went in like that. And I needed to iron my blouse for that evening, and there was no iron in the room, so I went to the desk for an iron, and this young couple with a big screaming baby said, oh, well, you can borrow our iron. And so they went in the back and got their iron and let me use it. And then I got a knock on the door, and it was a phone call. There were no phones in the rooms. You had to go to their phone and use their phone. And I go and I use the phone, and it was this man who became my agent saying, hey, I'm representing you and you're going to have a television show. And here I was in probably the worst hotel I've ever stayed in terms of, it was clean, so it wasn't the worst. It was clean, but it was like, ooh. So the conditions weren't great. The people were very friendly, but there was a side piece. And I was getting this news that was going to change my life. Even in that moment, in that time. And I want you to understand that right now we're going through some things that are frightening and you're not sure about, and they're uncomfortable, and this doesn't look like what you wanted. But there's a possibility that on the other side, there's something that will change your life. If you use this time to go into yourself and see the patterns that you've been living and what you've been doing and how you can change that. If you use this time to go inside and see who it is that you've always desired to be and want to become, if you use this time with your family to become closer and more of a force of love, if we use this time to say, how can I make the world a better place, then on the other side of this is everything we desire. I love you.